right, guys. I know. I was checking the time. Like, when was the last time I recorded? And it's been a solid year. So, everyone, welcome back to the Culture Shock Abroad podcast. I am so happy to be back. And I am so happy to be back in video format because I just wanted, a little more personalization, get a little more, connected to my audience. I was doing a lot of lives before, during the pandemic, I was doing a lot of lives on the Culture Shock Abroad Instagram page. And that was getting a lot of engagement and people loved it. And I said, you know what? I think I wanted to transition over to more of a video format just so you guys can see me and I can have some guests on and just like grow the podcast and grow the platform in a way that I would like to see it. So I hope this works. I do want to have this on YouTube and do want to have clips and snippets on Instagram so you can always go back and watch, and eventually having my live series at least once a month on Instagram so that you guys can connect with me. So if this is the first time you're listening to the Culture Shock Abroad podcast, what we do here, this is a Jamaican podcast. It's for Jamaicans living in Jamaica and abroad, and we talk about everything in between. So whether it's burial, jobs, the situation in Jamaica, crime, dating, marriage, anything that affects us as Jamaicans or people who love Jamaica or people who travel to Jamaica and just want to live there, it's for you. Now, I wanted to come back with, I won't say a bang because I think the video format is already shocking, like, oh, you're doing this. But I wanted to come back with something that was kind of like near and dear to my heart, and just to give you guys a little update with what I've been up to. And so a lot of you actually follow me on the Charm Travels page. And that is kind of like it's kind of new and not so new. So it's really documenting my travels around the world, and also helping people get started with travel, and more importantly, helping and inspiring people to start their business, to, launch out and build their brand and do something online that can change their lives and kind of change the narrative of how we were raised, right? Like, a lot of us we didn't see a lot of opportunities outside of go to school, finish your degree, finish your career, finish your degree, get a job, start your career, stay till you get your pension, and there's not much wiggle room in between. And so I really wanted to have that platform that was a little more broader than just Jamaica, to just show my travels and to just inspire people to even, pursue doing a remote work lifestyle, and, and starting a business and doing something that would afford them to travel the world, and to just like make those changes that we didn't necessarily grow up seeing. So I'm really happy about that platform that I started, but my love is Jamaica. I eat, sleep, breathe Jamaica. I am a Jamaican to the bone. So I really wanted to bring this home, and come back with a format that I could feel more connected to my audience and just talk about more issues, bring more guests on, just to talk about everything related to Jamaica, the diaspora, and in between. And so I may be looking down a little bit because today I wanted to make sure that I covered a very important topic for me and something that is kind of near and dear to my heart. And I made a post a few months back on the Culture Shock Abroad page about this very topic. And I got so much engagement from it. And there were so many people who had their own perspective, their own experiences. And I said, you know what? My first topic when I come back is going to be specifically this. And it's around parenting the parents. Guys, nothing in life prepared me for this. Nothing in life, I think, prepares you to get to that point where you are now the parent in the situation with your parents, especially if they are elderly. Now, this is not a negative. This is just a space for us to discuss, to talk about it, to start the conversation with what we really need to be looking out for, how we need to like prepare for this. Because what me tell you, say, it rough. It's rough. It is a very, very, very hard situation to be in. And I wanted to go through just some of the learnings that I have had to kind of like really hold myself to, and just maybe give someone some tips that can help, because I'm still learning. But I feel like when I made that post about parenting the parents, a lot of people were like, wow, like I am dealing with this same situation and I just don't know how to fix it and I just don't know what to do. Let me take a deep breath. This one is tough. This one is tough. And like I said, it's not a negative. It's more of these are the things that we need to start thinking about. I want to say, once our parents gets older, and if you're lucky enough to have them around, you need to make sure that you're having conversations with them, regular conversations, talking with them. I also, challenge people to ask your parents questions that now that you're an adult, you would not have asked um, at a certain age. So growing up, you have a different relationship than when you have with your parents now. When I went to Jamaica for an extended period in 2020, 2021, I sat down with my mother and I had a very, very honest discussion with her. And I asked her some really, really tough questions about her life, you know, growing up, her as a teenager, her as an adult, her dating. And I asked her some really tough questions. And she was honest with me. She gave me honest answers. I was actually shocked about some of them and slightly cringe. But it was so important for me to have that discussion with my mother, because I feel like it helped me to understand myself a little more. I understood why my behavior was a certain way under certain circumstances. I understood why I reacted certain way, why I was feeling a certain kind of way. I understood who I was having that conversation with my mother. And so I wanted to encourage people to kind of just have those conversations with your parents, even if it's just talking to them and checking in, but also ask them about their childhood, how they were raised, and even things that you're experiencing now and you want to get perspective on it, because now things make much more sense that we're adults. So when your parents used to tell us, say, you can't go up on the road after night, enough to sleep on nobody's yard, like you get it now? You understand it now, why them saying enough to stay at people yard? Yeah, right. So now we kind of understand why they said what they said and what it meant. So I think now is like a good opportunity for us to really talk to them, ask them questions. And another thing too is, there's so many things that when your parents pass and when the elderly pass, it goes with them. So there's certain traditions that they have. Talk to them about it. Write it down. Their recipes, their certain stories, there are certain things that you probably didn't pay attention to growing up, and then you probably leave at a earlier age, and you're separated from them. Now that you have time, and if you're, as I said, you're still blessed enough to have them, ask those questions. And really, I think it does something for them too, when they feel like you're interested in them and you're interested in what they have to say. So I think that's good, to just open the floor and have the conversation, not to be isolated from them. Another tip I want to give is talk to your parents about their health. A lot of times, unfortunately, parents are, what I say, them don't want you fret. They don't want you fret. They don't want you call. They don't want call you and then say, Lord, me no feel good. They prefer to keep it quiet. They prefer not to say anything. If them feel a little ailment, them say, me I go drink little bush. I probably little gas. Okay. I probably little gas. Me no want bother nobody. I'm fine. Talk to them. Ask them how you feel. When is the last time you got a checkup? Are you on your medications? It's a 30-day medication. Why you have some left? Sometimes they come off of the medications so them feel better, and this is something that is life-saving. How is your diet? And that is a little harder to adjust because they are kind of stuck in their ways, and if they might eat them dumpling and them fritters, and it's really hard sometimes to get them to like adjust. But really talk to them about their health. Get to know their doctors if you can. There's a thing in Jamaica where a lot of people don't ask doctors questions and don't try to can't talk today. Challenge, some of the prescription. And I'm not saying no disrespect to any doctors in their field, but I think as a patient, you are well within right to ask questions about your medications. If you're getting a lot of medications that you're not sure, ask. And I think our culture, we don't kind of push that envelope and ask a lot of questions and we just take what doctors say. And I think as the child, we now have to step in and have a relationship with the doctors. Maybe go to a visit if you can. I know that is difficult when you're overseas or elsewhere, and it's very hard to do that. But if you can send somebody with them, if you can even talk to the doctor directly, just say, hey, what is up with them? Is there anything I should be concerned about? Just stay as much as you can to be active in their health, because sometimes them no one bother way. And then no one call. I've seen so many times where, we talk about our parents and something happened to them and them say, me never want nobody fret. Me never want nobody worry about me. And that's, that can be even worse because now the condition may have progressed to a point where now them need 24-hour care, where it could have been avoided if we had started the treatment earlier. So talk to them about their health. I think it's super important, and it can be a cost saver in many instances. I mean, that's the least to think about sometimes, depending how you want to look at it, but it can be a cost saver for just having the conversation with, what are you doing? When was the last time you went to the doctor? What is the prescription looking like? Are you still on your meds? Are you doing exercise? What are you eating? That kind of thing. Like having a child, right? Parenting the parents. There's a level of stubbornness that kind of comes with this, and this is what makes it a little more difficult to navigate. It's hard because when you have stubborn pickney, you send them one side and then they send them in timeout. You can't really put your parents in timeout. They got their own money. They sorting out their own thing. When they're set in their ways, it's very difficult. So at the same time, you have to understand what you can take to, because there's so much you can take on, because you also have your own life. You also may have a family, you have your career that you're trying to work on. And so it's going to be very difficult sometimes to balance everything, to to deal with the stubbornness, them not wanting to do something, and just your mental health, right? So for me, what has worked for me is this open communication and saying, hey, I need you to tell me when this is this. And you're going to call me and fuss over things, but it has to be something that is meaningful. Do not call me and tell me about something next door with this a neighbor yard. Me in a word, me can't take it. You understand? So sometimes every single call, you don't have to push to pick up every single call and stress about it, because you're having this constant communication and knows what's happening. Sometimes every time I see the phone ring and I see the 876, I panic. I try not to do that anymore. As I say, Charmaine, it's probably just a wellness check-in. You will call later. That's fine. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? When you see that call, when we see it happen 2, 3 times, I'm like, all right, something not going. But I just, it's hard. But at the same time, you have to also like protect your mental health and your boundaries as well. But I find that the open communication definitely helps. Talking to them regularly about things and their issues. Finances. We're gonna talk about that. This one is hard. Um, I was talking to a friend recently, and she had an issue where she wasn't sure what was happening with her parents and their finances. There was someone involved. There was a friend who was helping them invest, and they giving money to this person to put money there, and she wasn't sure what was happening. Talk to your parents about their finances. If you're the ones, supporting them, you kind of know if they are, kind of self-sufficient. You want to make sure that certain things are talked about and you know what is happening with the accounts. And it's very important because sometimes, people will try to scam them. People will try to get them into little schemes and little this, and then people who just prey on them. They just know that, them can't ask and then we get it because them kind hearted. Know about the bank accounts that they have. If they have a personal banker or somebody that they talk to in the bank, get to know that person, introduce yourself, and just kind of talk through it, because to be honest with you, you're going to want to make sure you get those things aligned in the event that they pass on. But also, while they are alive, somebody isn't taking advantage of them while they are alive. And so it is very, very, very important that you talk to them about it. Know where the bank accounts are, know how they're spending certain things. And I know sometimes they can be very secretive and them don't want you know, and they don't want you know their business, but it's important for you to know. And speaking of bank accounts and speaking of bank accounts, you also want to make sure there's some sort of estate planning going on. So, is there a will? Do they have the title for the property? All of these things are little things that you don't want to just leave. You want to start talking to them. So you may want to just get a lawyer and say, hey, let's go talk to a lawyer about making sure that we have everything buttoned up with the estate. In the event that you're no longer with us, we have everything, all the ducks in a row. So you may want to reach out to an attorney and kind of get some guidance on that, because it's important. I've seen people just running around crazy after, a parent passes without knowing like where their assets are, what's happening. This is one that come out of the woodworks. This is one that did supposed to get, that the one that did supposed to get. And it's mad. And then you, their work, you have to go take off time now, you have to go fly out, you have to go this, you have to go try find who this and who no, not, and this a grandmother, you have this a paper under her bed, and this one I never, like, try and do it. No. Try and do it and get the estate stuff in order, because you don't want worst case to happen. It's lonely for them. I mean, anybody who kind of like goes through retirement, or, you're away from your regular duties, are going to, kind of be concerned about people not being around them, or, they have emptiness syndrome. You grew up in a house with, so many kids. My mom, she has emptiness syndrome now. Like, she had a house full of people, and now it's just them and the people who are around occasionally are, but it's not the regular one bag of pitney run running at the house, grandchildren all around. And she still cooks the same amount of food. So the 10 dumplings still are going like everybody did it. She's always cooking. But the emptiness syndrome is real. And the loneliness that comes with it is hard for them. It's hard for them. So that's why I said, try and talk to them, schedule time to check in. Sometimes it's hard because sometimes, boy, them say something will just rub you the wrong way. But at some point, as much as you can, as much as you can, balance your mental health and your family situation. Talk to them, reach out to them, keep them on your schedule just like you would do anything else. I'm going to call my parents. I'm going to make sure that they're okay. Um, so I think that is important that we try to do with our parents back home, because I know it's tough. And keeping them involved in certain things like family functions as much as you can, little outings, a little weekend here and there if they can. Keep them involved, because it gets lonely and they're so used to, a lot of parents are just like, that's all they did. They were parents for like 30, 40 years. They constantly having kids and grandchildren, and they haven't, after everyone leaves, it's like, okay, what next? And so I think it's important for us to just keep that in mind when it comes to parents. It's a very tough topic for me because I'm currently doing that. But I just wanted to have a check-in with you guys. And the um when I posted the content on the Culture Shock Abroad page about parenting your parents, I was like, people are really going through it. So I think we should talk about it a little bit. But, I have the utmost respect for the parents who really took the time and stick around to be parents to us. And so sometimes the little I can do to help and the little I can do to show my appreciation is enough. As much as I can, um, is important. So I just wanted to encourage anyone who is like going through the daily struggles with it, try to have an open communication with them. And of course, set your own boundaries. Um, and some of the tips that I've mentioned, the finances and the health, keep that in the forefront of your discussions with them. And so it kind of makes things a little better, a little easier. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for making it Culture Shock Abroad. Like, I'm so happy you guys stuck around with me. And I'm so happy to be back in video format. This is going to be it. This will be it. Yes, this will be it going forward. I think I like the video. I like that you guys can see my expressions and I'm always laughing and, you know, I'm really happy to be back. Culture Shock Abroad. Follow me on Instagram at the Culture Shock Abroad. Make sure that you don't miss an episode going forward. I'm going to have bi-weekly episodes. So every 2 weeks, there'll be a new episode drop on a Friday morning. I'm going to keep that promise. And stick around for all things Jamaica at home and abroad. Stick around on the Culture Shock Abroad platform for my stories. Always have the latest happening with what's going on in Jamaica, all the madness, all the craziness. And a few people have asked about the foundation. So at the beginning of the year, I said I was going to start a Culture Shock Abroad foundation. It is still happening. We are a little delayed right now. I'm trying to make sure I get all the registrations done in Jamaica. So hopefully for the new school year starting in September, we'll have something that we can start with and keep growing from there. So it's still on the table. It just, needs some time to be buttoned up and I want it to be done right. So continue to follow and I'll see you guys in 2 weeks.